Hi, good evening. My name is Curtis Baldwin Brown. I posted some things on YouTube because of my situation. Um, and I wanted to actually let people see for themselves the magnitude of harassment and abuse and just things that have been happening that, due to my situation, um, probably shouldn't happen. Um, and I'll explain that in a minute. First of all, let me back up. I will say this: I don't condone it. Um, Even though I've been faced with this situation myself, I will tell you that I've had quite a bit of struggles that I think, under normal circumstances, for anybody would be extremely hard. Um, I did end up in a homeless state. It wasn't due to drugs and addiction. Um, I actually was working in entertainment, and I'll explain that in a minute. But I don't want to start off with that, but just to give you an idea. Um, and I had my own place to stay, a home, and I ended up getting laid off during the recession. But I want to fast forward because I want to bring this to a head. The plea for me is not to make anyone upset. I get it. If you have experienced anything that you have saw about me, um, I apologize for that. But once again, under the circumstances, it should not have never happened because the way that it was presented was totally illegal, totally wrong. And um, if you go out of your way to make somebody an example, but you have to break the law to do it, then you're just wrong. Um, However, I will say this: this has been going on for quite some time, years, and for me to be holding up, I don't even know how I'm doing it. Um, if you ever see a picture of me, even as far back as 3 years ago, I don't look the same. Um, the stress has totally begun to take a toll on me. Um, these lines you see in my face are a part of that. I don't know if you can see it, but I have a scar recently here and on my nose. And that was the result of somebody actually coming into my unit once, one of many, probably a couple of dozen times, while I'm here asleep. Um, this happened. I was coming out of my bathroom, and the door slammed back into my face. Um, I immediately went downstairs to talk to staff. They didn't even act like they were concerned about it. And I'm going to touch on that as well. I do know he didn't even want to come in my apartment. Now, how are you going to take a look around to see what happened, but you don't even want to come past the front door? And that's the same security guard a couple of times. Now, people have issues. Addiction probably has somebody in somebody's family. I don't think there's not very many people that don't have somebody they know or a family member that has been affected by addiction. Myself, I come from a prominent family. I try to reason with people during this whole time, um, to tell me what I have done to make them target me in such a way to where I get slandered so bad that I can't even fight it. It's come very obvious to me that what's being done to me is deliberate, and it's made you act in such a way that you cannot control anything that's going on, and I'll explain that as well. Um, but I come from a family. Um, you might have heard of James Baldwin, the writer. That's my third cousin. My grandfather and him were first cousins, and their fathers were brothers. Um, my aunt Cynthia Baldwin is my mom's younger brother. They're a year apart. His wife. She handled the Sandusky trial and quite a few other famous trials. Sandusky trials, a molestation case that made national news, and she was um, Superior Court judge of Pennsylvania. Handled that case. She's also handled some famous cases at Penn State, where she's also on the board of directors. Most notably, the football coach. Their son works for a prominent office as a partner in a law firm in Washington, D.C. My godfather, who I was the ring bearer in his wedding, is Milton Grimes. He's a civil rights attorney, like a poor man's Johnny Cochran. His most famous case was the Orange County bankruptcy case, and another trial. I mean, another case that he handled was Geronimo Pratt when he got him out of prison. Okay, my whole family is like this. I come from a family of doctors, lawyers, judges, chemists, um, army officers, people in the entertainment industry. I have two other first cousins, both of whom one of them their father is my mom's brother, and the other one's mother is my mom's sister, and they both have their own entertainment studios. One in Orange County, one in the Valley here in LA, and they both own their own studios. Okay, one of them has done commercials for Cadillac. Um, there's a method to my madness because I want you to see what kind of family I come from and what kind of person that I really am. Because there's been so many things that have been said about me that don't add up, but nobody wanted to ever hear anything from me because the the attack was so big and so strong and so vicious that nobody wanted to hear anything I had to say. Okay, um, so and then I have in my immediate family, I have a brother and um, a sister-in-law, and a nephew that are in entertainment. My sister works for the Screenwriters Guild that's in upper management. All she does all day long is make sure that celebrities or actors have, taken care of their dues. Um, my younger brother used to manage singing groups. Um, his wife is a backup gospel singer, and my sister, the one I spoke about, also sings and writes gospel, and that's how they met. My brother met him. That's where that goes. Um, their their son was Simba the Lion King in the first musical. Traveled all over the United States. He has since he's only 19, signed a contract with Rodney Jerkins to actually sing. He's a singer. Well on his way to becoming very well known. And I don't want to mention his name or anything like that, but he signed a contract. Um, and then there's myself. I have always been considered, while I was growing up, and I have over 40 cousins, some older, some younger. I was that one cousin that everybody said, he's smarter than all of us. He's going to be the doctor, the lawyer. And it wasn't just my cousins, it was my aunts, my uncles, and everybody else. A very super smart kid growing up. Um, Never got in trouble. Um, it took a lot to get me to get angry. Um, and I made friends easy. I was pretty popular, but I was very comfortable either in the crowd or by myself. I have very curly hair, born curly. I have hazel eyes, and I did not have a problem, of course, dating. Um, and I didn't have a problem all the way up until my adult years. Had long hair, and if I put it in a ponytail, of course, it was wavy. Um, but I never had a problem with you know with women. I don't like to really talk about this because as a result of what I've been dealing with, I haven't really done much of anything as far as meeting anyone, dating, and you're going to probably be shocked to find out how long I've not been in a relationship. However, I wish I was, but I'm not trying to even go there right now because there's too many things I need to take care of. Now, growing up as a kid, my mom, of course, my dad was a womanizer, and my mom was very pretty growing up. Kind of probably looked like a Puerto Rican, very very light skin, same color eyes as me, and pretty hair. Um, However, that marriage didn't last. Haven't I'm almost 55 years old. In 3 months, I'll be 55, and I haven't seen my father since I was 4 years old. Never called, never sent a gift to this very day. However, my mom remarried, and this guy was a black belt in karate. Didn't really care about the kids, and it didn't take nothing for him to beat the crap out of you. I want to say other words, but he didn't mind hurting you, and I mean hurting you. You could be walking down the hallway. Next thing you know, you're looking up at the ceiling in a daze. Locked out of the house was the norm. Backyards is where you went to go play, and you stayed out there until he let you in, which would be hours. And it didn't matter if it was cold, didn't matter if the sun was out, didn't matter if you have to use the bathroom. I never met the people in my neighborhood for almost 8 years. I dreaded going home. The best times of my life was when I was at school. My aunts, uncles, we didn't tell them what was going on because we were too ashamed and humiliated, and little kids think they're the problem. My mom finally divorced him, and then she married for a third and final time. And this guy was pretty decent, but he drank a lot, and he was a higher up at Boeing, right below the president or vice president. And he died a bitter man because he kept getting passed up for the presidency, obviously because he was black. Um, but he was super intelligent, smart enough to be in anybody's think tank, which he was asked to be in. Um, so fast forwarding, he eventually he eventually died. The same year he died, my mom came down with cancer, and at the age of 18, I found myself homeless for the first time. Had a place to go, but my uncle was never there, and of course his wife didn't really care about us. He wasn't his first wife, and so she would lock me out. And once again, I kept my mouth shut because I thought it was my fault. And all I would be doing was coming home from work because I did have a job. I worked at a Burger King. And humiliation once again. Fast forward, I joined the military. Loved it. One of the regrets of my life was getting out. And came back to the States, and I didn't like it too much. Loved it when I was overseas, but I didn't like it here. And that was my first sort of foray into ever using any kind of mind-altering drugs other than beer. I think everybody had tried marijuana, but that was never really considered something to be worried about. But in the military, I hadn't touched anything. I came back here not realizing I had all this baggage from my childhood. And I was one of those soldiers that everybody liked once again. I was fast-tracked to be, promoted. Anybody know anything about rank structure in the military? I made E4 in 11 months, which is like, it's right below sergeant. and it's really hard to do that, but I did it. But I loved my job. I was top 5% in my job field. When I joined the military, the point system works. If I had um, I think the highest you could score is like a 140 or 138. I scored a 135 or somewhere in that range, 133, 135. Had I scored a couple of more points higher, I could have went to officer candidate school. That's how smart I was. Um, Prior to getting in, I actually dropped out of high school. The reason for that was I was just too. It was just too much to handle. With everything going on in my family, my mom was in the hospital for almost a year fighting breast cancer. Our whole family was split up, and then I had this issue with my aunt, and so I said I'm just going to go to work. But when I joined the military, I had to take the SAT. When I took the SAT test, I missed the very last question. That's the only thing I missed, and when I missed it, I knew exactly which one it was. And I'm pausing there just to give you an example, because everybody's took the SAT. To only miss one question, and it was the very last one, I actually knew which one it was, and I pondered both of the questions, the answers, before I chose the wrong one. So I joined the military, and like I said, it was one of my regrets was ever getting out. I do get VA benefits as I'm living in a veterans unit as we speak. So when I fast forward, I got out, got a job for a telephone company, was doing good, and I struggled because now I'm back in civilian life. Issues that were never addressed within our family that everybody was kind of hush hush about, and it made it very hard for me to deal with. And so I went back into drugs again. I eventually, fast forwarding years later, I get cleaned up. I get married. I'm doing okay. I work for for the newspaper company in the office as an executive, and my marriage didn't work out. Nobody's fault. In the beginning, you just sometimes don't see those things, and um, you don't really know a person as good as you really can until you're around them 24/7. You're married, but there was a lot of things that I can honestly say weren't my fault, and this is not to point the finger at her, but she's actually contacted me on Facebook, and she was, when I came to sign the divorce papers, she cried because she knew she had did me wrong, and I had never experienced anything like that. I don't believe in hitting women, but she had been by herself for so long, she didn't know how, and she had 2 daughters. She didn't know how to share that, and so it makes it difficult when you have two people and they both want to be in charge. That's the bottom line. So, once again, um, I started dabbling in drugs. It didn't take me long to get it together, though. I ended up saying enough's enough, and I ended up going into treatment. And upon entering treatment, I took their test once again to this very day, and they have over, I think now, probably about 500 people that live there. It's a very huge program. It's in Long Beach. It's so big, in fact, that they have everything anything you can think of to do. They have it, just like a regular city, even mail service. And but it was a requirement for everybody to go through there and take the test, because the person that started it was a firm believer that if we can give you just a little bit more education, if you don't have it, you're going to be better off. It's a lot of people's problems. It wasn't just self-esteem. It was a lot of it had to do with their educational level. Once again, I went through there, and to this very day, I believe I scored the highest on the test that they offered. I don't think they do it anymore, but back then they did. And immediately, the guy that ran that program requested that I be his assistant. And everybody that goes through the program has to do something. You're not going to sit around and eat and go to classes. but it was run just like a mini campus, and I enjoyed it. And so you have to do something either as a secretary or helping the counselor, help with the case manager, um, or working somewhere, or like myself. They have IT department, the whole 9 yards. Um, so I went to work for him, learned what he was doing to the point where he didn't even have to be there. And of course, I mean, it wasn't something that he saw that me try to outdo him or anything. It wasn't that type of a party, but he felt comfortable enough to leave me and, hey, this, you know what to do. And upon me graduating the program, I I went back into entertainment because I had previously been in entertainment, and I went to work for an indie studio out in um, out near Santa Monica. And he told me he was going to be leaving, but I didn't take him, and I didn't really think too much of it. And he said you should apply for the job. Well, I came back one day and he was about to leave, and I said, "What are you doing?" He says, "Well, I'm leaving. I told you that." So there's a method to my madness. Just bear with me, please. So I ended up um, going and talking to the executive director, and she made me. She gave me his job. It was the first time in my life. If I hadn't, I probably didn't notice it before, but it angered a lot of people because, of course, they have about 80 employees and another 100 or so interns. And then you have the volunteers, and now I'm probably somewhere around top 5, top 6 because I became a director. I went through the program, 3 months, working at this job maybe a month, maybe a month and a half. So you're talking 4.5 months total. And people that have been working there for years, I'm now their boss. And it angered some people, but was I very capable of doing the job? Yes, I am. Yes, I was. I am college educated, 2 degrees. Um, I have the ability to speak, and I've had large audiences where I had to speak, and very professional. I I would give lectures as many as anywhere between 5 to 8, maybe sometimes even more in a week, and they would be jam packed, 60, 70, 80 people to get into the class. I had the unique ability to be combined with both street smarts um, and actually being able to you know go to school and learn. I fit in equally as well in a boardroom or on the corner if that's the case, um, and not come across as a phony. I've had incidences in my life where when I ended up homeless, I didn't know a lot about the system at first, whether it was law enforcement or um, applying for aid. I I had gotten to the point where, and I believe honesty sometimes is the best policy. My life had become miserable because I knew I was a better person than what I was portraying. I had never been to jail until my 30s. And I was doing things like going in the Rouse because I would be so hungry. And I would, take fried chicken, potato salad, things like that. And when I would get caught, of course, back then, petty theft with a prior would give you a prison term. And I just, even in my misery, couldn't understand why, the time would be excessive for maybe $10 worth of food. And of course, that fueled me back into drugs because once you get out, you're not really getting the help that you need. And in some cases, they don't tell you, and they know you're going to wreck. And you end up doing something you don't even know you weren't supposed to do. And you're back, you're back in jail. Um, the first 2 times I had ever been arrested, never committed the crime. And they knew it. They knew it. And it kept me for years in a loop that's very hard for anybody to get out of, because it's just hard to do. If anybody's ever been on probation, you know what I'm talking about. You get a job, but you have to call every day at a certain time. You only have maybe a 15, 20-minute window to get through, and everybody is trying to call. And if you don't call, you stand a chance of not making it the next morning, because your color back then that they would give you was called. If you did go, you still stood the chance of losing your job, because you sat there half the day to take a urinalysis test. And not all employers were, too cool about that. So fast forward. I don't want to ramble. This could actually be something where I could talk about, to make my point across for a couple of hours. Now, what I will tell you is this. My intent was never to had experienced the things that I had to go through in life. But I always got back out, and I dust myself off because I just couldn't give up. I've worked some tremendous jobs that people never understood how I got. The director position is just one. I've been a director of a couple of programs. I've also worked as an investment broker. I have worked in entertainment as an associate producer. And I'm a firm believer that you never know what people see in you. But my family would literally shake their head like, how did you do that? Especially since you've had some of the issues. We're glad that you're got yourself together, but wow, some people that never had issues at all, that had with the jobs that you had, would be glad to have just one of those. Most recently, I was a financial advisor in Orange County, and I'll get to that in a minute. I've always been prideful of how I dressed and how I looked. Not to try to outdo anybody, but I was always clean cut. I was always presentable, even when I was homeless for a while. I wore suits because I was a firm believer that what I did would, it would rub off. My personality, it keeps you in a good frame of mind. So when I ended up on Skid Row downtown, after I lost my home, I lived in the Jewish community and was very happy. And so when I lost everything and ended up back downtown, I had years of sobriety. And within 6 months, I had relapsed. And my drug of choice this time was methamphetamine. I don't condone drugs at all. Believe me, I don't. The reason why I decided to do this video is because for the life of me, to this very day, I don't understand how I was targeted and who I pissed off. And I've tried and pleaded with people to tell me what I have done. And what eventually had happened was whoever targeted me put me on social media for the whole world to see. And flash mobs are a regular thing when they dealt with me, and still do. And once again, I was never told. But here's the thing that I know for a fact. It took me a little time to figure it out, because I was never told what I did or why I was being done in this way. I tried to film something earlier because I was just recently flash mobbed, and it's done in such a way where I don't understand it. Yes, I get it. Nobody should use. My using situation is $25 twice a month. Something had been done to me in such a way that whenever I use or when I use, I am out for like 2 days, I can't get up. I can't move. I can't think. If you come by and say something to me, I can't even answer you. And I'm totally in another world. Totally in another world. And they all know it. They all know it. They know there's, because if they're on that side participating, they've been filled in. And it doesn't matter. What I really found out is that, and the reason why I know I have been targeted is because how the things have happened. How is it that I can be in San Diego or Santa Barbara and the same thing happens the same exact way, the same harassment with nobody answering me? It's like they all been coached on what to say to me and how to do it, and don't say anything to them. Don't listen to them. Don't let them give you an answer or anything. What I do know, in the initial beginning, there was no blacking out. There was no hallucinations where I couldn't get up. It was just deliberately done in such a way to where I didn't even know what they were saying about me. One example that I give to everybody that will even try to listen is, I had an 85-year-old lady, 85. She was wrinkled like a California raisin. She just walked up to me out of the blue and asked me for money. And I was like, I don't even know you. And then, what do you want it for? Well, she said she wanted to buy crack. I told her, no, I'm not going to give you money to do that. Next thing you know, I get flash mob for 3 or 4 days because somebody posted that I asked this 85-year-old lady for sex. And you get, I'm 55 now. Back then, I was probably in my late 40s, maybe early 50s. And they dogged me out. I could not walk anywhere. There was crowds everywhere. I crossed the street and they go, that coward just crossed the street. Well, I'm not nobody's coward. I'm just not stupid. Not to that degree. Because I understood when that was going on that you weren't going to try to hear me out. And my main goal after all the time that I had done was, I just don't want to go back to jail. And I still don't. I'm very careful about how I'm wording things because I don't want to piss anybody off. But I do have to make some kind of a plea because I don't know what I did. And then, which I'll get into in a few minutes, is there's no rhyme or reason to it. I've always been out of the way. I mean, I'm not just sitting there puffing a pipe in front of everybody. And I would find me a cubbyhole and they would come find me. If I went to a motel room, they would come find me. Or whatever they do to follow me. If I went to somebody's house, it didn't matter what I did, whether I was outdoors or indoors. And the reason why I'm saying that, I've been in my apartment for 8 months. And they have harassed the shit out of me every time that I've indulged in anything. Anytime. The reason why I say there's no rhyme or reason is because half the people, if not more, that are participating are active drug users, homeless, or whatever the case may be. And what I do in a month's time, they probably do in a day, maybe 2 tops. And like I said, I don't condone it, but I never in my wildest dreams would I ever think that being in my apartment complex where you can't be seen, and I live on the 3rd floor, mind you, that I would have people calling me names from my apartment complex. Now, when I first moved in here, I was one of the first tenants in this building. It's a brand new building. There's 48 units. I was probably like the 10th guy to move in here. I knew something was wrong from the beginning because they picked my unit for me. You don't pick people's unit for you. You look for your own unit. And Section 8, through the military, there's no process that's different than that. And when I called them, because the person that runs this place told me that Section 8 put me in here, I called them. They said, no, that's not our job. And I already knew that. So for some reason, she wasn't being honest with me there. Then they put me, I told you I'm pretty smart. They put me right in the middle on the floor, because the first floor is where you park your car. So 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I'm on the 3rd floor. not only on the third floor, but exactly in the middle of the building, on the busy street. I wanted to move somewhere in the back of the building where I can have a view of the Hollywood sign or whatever, and where it'd be quiet. And every time, like I said, it's only twice a month, and it's not even really a large amount of anything. And I'm going to explain something, and you'll probably understand exactly what I'm saying. So that I'm put in the middle, not only on the middle floor, but exactly in the middle of the building. And how is it that people would know what I'm doing up here? And I knew something was amiss. I actually took my smoke alarm apart, and I found a mic in there. When I snipped it off and I tried to look for more wires, miraculously, one of the wires pulled back. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Okay. I walked outside my building. No, there's a bus stop right in front of me. And at 2, 3, 4 in the morning on these days and always on days when I'm harassed, it's a group thing all night. Loud music, people pulling over, honking their horn, stopping in the middle of the street to look up at this floor. Now, why would you even be bothered to look at the third floor? And how would you even know what unit I'm in? Okay. I've had people call me names. I've had 2 youngsters pull a gun out on me. And I saw my whole life flash before me. And the only thing that stopped them was one of the youngsters yelled, "Here comes a cop." I've had snakes put down my back. I was sleeping at a church in a little cubby hole. Nobody there but me. But somehow you know what I'm doing over there. You walk by and say, call me names, tell me to leave. And I'm not bothering nobody. I'm not doing anything to anybody. If anything I'm doing it to myself. Okay? The problem is, in the initial beginning, or intermittently, a few times they didn't even know what I was. And I said, you know what? I know they're doing something to me, because there's no way in the world I would, anybody, and I'm sure even people that don't use, would tell you meth is an upper. Oh, I get it. If you have used excessively for years, you will eventually, maybe have blackouts or whatever. Mine aren't blackouts. I'm in a whole different world, and even if I hear you, I can't move. And who do you know that would use $20 worth of crystal meth that would be laying on the sidewalk and can't move in a delusional state for 2 days? And this is every single time. And meanwhile, people are coming up. They're pulling my blankets off of me, exposing myself. I'm already in a delusional state because my mind is telling me I'm here with some, with a beautiful woman or whatever else is in my mind. It always seems to be the same hallucination every time. And whatever they're doing to make that happen. But my thing is, all night long, my blankets are getting pulled off me, and I can't do anything about it because I'm totally inebriated, and I'm trying to pull them back on as best I can. It shouldn't matter what if I'm covered up. It shouldn't really matter, but there are things going on that have me in that state. Everybody seems to know that there's something going on. The ones that are participating, especially, I'm sure they're filled in. I've experienced, I'll give you an example. I was in Pasadena, and when I was out there, once again, cubbyhole, not thinking anybody would know anything about what I'm doing. And just to show you that it's not paranoia, I was being flash mobbed. I'm talking, I've never seen anything like this. And you wouldn't think it's as many people that get involved with this type of stuff that do, but they do. And what happened was, I ended up trying to blend in because they were everywhere I went. They were standing. They were blocking my path. They would get out of cars and just stand there, block my path. Or if I'm walking by a driveway, they would just pull into the driveway and block my path. They don't even live there, and then just back out after I walked around the car. if I'm walking down the street, I see all these cars going by, and it's not that type of street where you'd have this kind of traffic. And then if I U-turn, every single car, every single one of them would turn around. Is that coincidence? Or maybe one car, but every single one? I've had people jump out and mean mug me, right? And then, so I ended up in Pasadena at the new renovated, rebuilt mall they have downtown. And I said, man, I got to find someplace to hide. I ducked into this building or store that was being remodeled, and they didn't see me. And I stood there behind they had paper up on the window. You couldn't see in. And the same people for about an hour, maybe more, walked in circles. Never went in a store. And then I'm hearing them ask each other, where'd he go? And that's when it dawned on me that I wasn't tripping. I go to, man, I can't believe this. Why would people do this? And I'm still like trying to figure out what's going on. So eventually what happened was I knocked on the back door to a restaurant, and they opened it and let me in. And I said, thank you. I got stuck in there. I was, came in with somebody through the other door. As soon as I walked by him, he didn't see me, but he high-fived the guy behind him. They found me. And I turned around and was like, really? What's going on here? Or what are you talking about? And that's the scenario. Nobody wants to say what you're doing or how you're doing or what you've done. So I'm fast-forwarding it again. I really didn't want to concentrate on that, but I wanted to give you an example. And that's not the only example that I have of them having to do that. As I'm standing there, I can feel my hair. For some reason, you can see it sticking up right there, like it's being pulled. I'm not tripping because you can see it. Like it's being pulled. I don't know what they've done to this apartment, but they watched me in here. They watched me in here. If I find a mic in here, it tells me that they did. Now, to prove my point, when I got harassed, I had company over here. I don't usually invite company over here. And you can still keep seeing that moving around. Now I'm wondering how that's even possible. But you can see it on the camera, like something's pulling my hair. You can see it when I move it, right? So I'm not tripping. Right there, you can see it. You can see it moving, right? I don't know what they've done to this apartment. All right. I tried to place a phone. I actually recorded something and explaining what was going on. The person I had over here, I'll turn this around real quick. As you can see, I have this couch, this grandfather couch. That's my bed over there. You have to apologize for the mess. Normally it's all made up, but my apartment was totally, that wasn't up there. I covered that. I'm going to take that down because I don't like living like that. Everything in here was totally trashed. All right. I'm laying on that bed and I can't move. I'm laying on that bed and I can't move. She turned this around and I knew she was a participant because she started recording and taking pictures of me, not able to move. Now, the thing about it is, if we're both active sex participants, it doesn't matter if I'm naked in here, right? And the other thing is, the whole time that this is going on, I can hear people out there calling me names, pulling over and just hanging out all night. Now, right now, it's about 12 o'clock, maybe a little less. There's no traffic out there. None on my street. That's how it's normally. But you can best believe anytime that I have been harassed, it gets really active all night. For however long that I'm inebriated. And I can't move. um, all night. And if you just noticed, I never touched my button to show you outside. And I'm gonna get to that too because somebody has actually been manipulating my phone because they've got my information. And they changed emails. They changed emails that I tried to post. They've even manipulated other areas of my phone where it makes it hard for me to use it when they're harassing me. They put information on my phone when I'm looking at videos, mind you, to make it look like I'm looking at little kids. And that's fucked up. And that's the only time you're going to hear me curse, right? Because the people that are actually involved in this are watching everything that I'm doing like I'm on live TV. When this first started happening, I heard a young lady say in Spanish, that's the guy that they've been posting on Instagram. I actually tried to call Instagram and try to get them to try to figure out what was going on, and they never responded a couple of times. In the initial beginning, like I said, there were some things that were said about me, and it was done to make people very upset, and they weren't even truthful, and I couldn't get anybody to listen to me. I tried to go to the black community and try to get their help, and I couldn't get it. Okay, and I don't blame them. I'm not really mad at them for that, to tell the truth. All they know is that, hey, this guy has been caught with his clothes down to his ankles under a blanket. And I can't, and in some cases, I'm not even pulling my clothes down. I only have two hands. So if somebody's pulling the blanket, somebody else is pulling my pants, how do I do both? And if I'm in a state of mind where I can't hardly think, and they're doing it constantly all night long to try to just, and they're walking by and just doing it, it's going to be that kind of a situation. And I can't think. I'm already, and they know that something's being done to me. I ended up getting some help once again. And this is where where I don't understand. Okay, I'm on the street. I did that. I shouldn't allow myself to be put in a position like that to where people can do those types of things to you. I get that. I took the heat for that. And I said, you know what? I can't blame them because I allowed it to happen. But every time I've gone indoors and you're still doing it, what's the rhyme or reason for that? I get cleaned up, get a good job. I got a job a little bit over a year ago in Orange County as a financial advisor. When he hired me, he wanted to hire me for a higher paying position, even though the one I was working at was the one I came to interview for was paying pretty well, about 60 grand a year. The job he offered me was well over 150 grand a year, but I didn't have a car. My agreement was, okay, let me get a car. If that position is still available, I'd love to do it. And he said, no problem. Within a month, I went out and got me a car. I've been clean for months, right? Upon this happening, after I got the car, it's a nice old Dodge Nitro. I'm dressing nice. I have a bank account, saving money, not using, happy. And the first thing that started happening was somebody started breaking into my car. They were taking things out here and there. Plugs. All of a sudden, instead of getting 18, 19 miles a gallon, I'm getting 10. They did something to my engine where it was still driving well, but it was burning a lot of gas. And other things just to, they put a dent in the very top of it. And I'm like, why? I mean, I get it. If I'm on the street, you can harass the hell out of me. I get it. I still didn't understand it, but yeah, because I knew there was things going on that they weren't trying to address. It was like they handpicked me to do things to me and then paint me a certain way and just destroy my character. So with that said and done, I eventually, they eventually got to one of my coworkers, and I couldn't understand it because we talked every day, joked and laughed, and she stole my car keys. And as you can see, there's no wind blowing in here. Now, if you keep paying attention to that, you know there's something's going on. Um, Somehow in this apartment, it's been rigged a certain way, and I just know that. And this is not something I'm just saying. Like as long as I'm moving, you can see that one little piece move, and that's a trip. You see it right there. See it moving? See it being pulled up? I know you see it. All right. So I'm not tripping. Um, I've been in here, and as I said before, there's been other cases that were just flat out. You knew I was getting harassed. I moved and went to San Diego. I had the same problem down there, and then I said, man, this is crazy. I went. Well, let me finish what I had to say. She stole my car keys. I had just got the car, put a down payment on it. These keys nowadays cost you $500-$600. I couldn't leave my car out there to get towed, so I had to pay for the key. Now I had to make a choice between the sober living environment I was living at or living in my car. So once again, that's where I ended up, in my car. And then the next point, I come back to LA because I was in Orange County where I was working. I was initially born and raised there, but I've spent more time in LA County than I have Orange County over the years. Come back here, um, driving from Santa Monica. This lady pulls in front of me, immediately hits the brakes. Um, and I didn't hit her hard, but I did hit the back of her car. We pulled over, and she, claims up and down that I damaged her car. I don't see a dent. I give her all my paperwork, copy of everything, and I told her I can't stick around. I have to take care of things that I can't wait for. I have an appointment. But she wanted to wait for the cops to get there, and there's no need for that. I gave you all my information, my insurance, everything. There's no need for it. Sorry about that. And for the car, me hitting your car, which I still didn't see a dent, and I left. Um, about no matter of fact, that same day, but before I could make it to LA, I got pulled over and told I was being arrested for a DUI. I wasn't drunk, but the car was taken from me. And I don't want to ruffle anybody's feathers, but that was the reality. I really don't. I respect the police. I do. As much as I've been, um, had my years of trouble, um, I realize that they have a job to do, and without them, it'd be total chaos. I get that. I hadn't even made the first payment on my car. Had it 35 days. I wasn't due for a payment for another 10 days. The significance of that is when I was going through the rough times of my life, where I ended up in jail, um, from about 2001 up until last year, I hadn't had a car. That was the first car. You can see that keep moving. You'll see it keep moving. There's something to what I'm telling you up in here, right? You can see it moving, and there's no breeze in here. So whatever it is that they got to do, the things to irritate me, basically. Um, so once again, they took my car, and that hurt. I hadn't had a car in 17 years. I struggled for a long time because of when I went in and out of jail. Um, it was a rough time in my life. I didn't tell my family. I think I called my mom once during that whole time, and I left everybody alone because it was my problem, not theirs. And I went through that, and I did that. Every time I got out, I tried my best to get back on my feet. It wasn't always easy, but I kept trying. I just couldn't see myself just not trying. And I've had jobs where I've made over $3,500 a week, take home, and I felt good about myself. And I never rubbed anything in anybody's face. And the biggest thing was when this happened, like I said, for the longest time, I could not figure out what was going on, and I don't know what else to do because nobody's telling me. And anytime somebody can violate your rights to the point where they can see me walking around in here naked, and then um, they can hear everything I'm doing in here, and the proof's in the pudding. Like I said, I taped something today, and I was talking about this very issue. And I said, let me take you on a little walk, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Well, as soon as I walked out that door, my phone muted, and I couldn't unmute it. So I couldn't give you any dialogue when I was walking down the street. Now, if that's not proof that somebody's tampering with my phone and that they can hear me in here talking, I don't know what is. I've had people walk by when I'm laying on this bed with no clothes on because I'm in the state of mind. But who cares if I'm naked in my own apartment? If I want to dance on the tabletops and sing Kumbaya, it shouldn't bother nobody. And I can hear them walking by and saying, "Oh, that's disgusting," or "What's wrong with him? Somebody should get him out of there." And comments like that. Or they'll stop in the street and look up here, honk their horn, and stand. And there's plenty of space to get to the corner, but you're stopping right there. It's not the only car that does it. Or you'll walk by here and say, "You motherfucker." It only happens on the days I get harassed. So that's a pattern. Right? That's something they teach you in the military. All right. However, when I walked out the door this time, it was a ghost town. They had got, okay, this guy's doing something. Okay. The thing is, if you are not wrong, it wouldn't bother you what I'm doing. There's times I have tried to go to get a lawyer, and I didn't have directions, and they were tampering with my phone, and I was going in opposite directions, or I end up in a neighborhood where there's nothing but apartment complexes. And one particular time, I went downtown to a law firm, and in order to get upstairs, you have to go by the security. You can't just go up there. There's no way to get on because they have the security key. He wasn't at his desk. And I was like, this is strange. I was being harassed like crazy outside. People blocking my path, walking right up behind me, like this close to me. Or going into a store, and all of a sudden the store is empty, and all of a sudden it gets jam-packed. And that's done to make you frustrated where you don't want to stand in the line. So I would leave. The proof in that is when I bought chicken once, just not too long ago, I'm at the self-checkout, and she thinks I'm going to take something. So she says, "Did you pay for that chicken?" And I was like, "How did you know it was chicken? You work way over there on the opposite end of the store, and I was just coming from over there. So how did you know I had chicken in the bag?" So she basically told on herself, but she tried to make it seem like I was going to steal something. Why would you just go to the length to do that and be so sure of yourself where you don't even care that you might be wrong? And that happens on a regular. Now, fast forward. I'm here. I try to go outside, just to give me an example. No, when I go to the law firm and I tell them I want to get a lawyer, he says, "You can't go up there. And I'm not letting you up there. You need to get you need to get your ass out of here." I'm like, when you just come off talking to me like that? Now, granted, I'm trying to explain that nobody has ever heard me out. Even if you don't like me, even if you still think I'm wrong, grant me that one right to at least tell you where my head was at when all this was going on. Maybe it might give you a clear understanding of what's going on, and you might have a little bit of sympathy towards me. Not that I'm looking for it, but you might understand a little bit better about what I'm dealing with, because I'm not the monster that you're trying to make me out to be. So, it falls on deaf ears. It's like they're told, don't listen to him. We don't care. Whoever is in charge, I don't even want to know. Well, I want it to end, but I'm so careful and leery about the ones that have made this situation the way it is. I'm not trying to get into a situation where I have to think about what might happen next. As I said, I've had guns pulled on me. I've had snakes put down on my back. And I got snake bites. You can still see this. I don't know if you can see them because of the lighting. But I had snake bites all over my hand, trying to pull them out. And as I'm walking down Hollywood Boulevard, people are telling me, you got snakes on you. And they're looking at me and laughing about it. This ain't this. You can't make stuff up like this, especially since I still have the scars on my hand. We're trying to pull them out. And you don't have sympathy towards that? When I tell people this, you still look at me in disgust? I go behind a very well-known club, and the people come out of the club and pile out of the club before I even get there, which lets me know that they've been told I'm coming that direction, which I'll get to as well. And I go behind the club and I lay down because I think I'm going to die. The reality of it was, whatever was biting me, when I was walking down the street, I could not see. I literally thought I'm seeing 5 red lights instead of 1. And I literally think I'm dying. I go behind this club to lay down. By this time, the snakes done crawled out of wherever they had to crawl out of. And I didn't care. I was in that frame of mind where I just said, you know what? I don't even care anymore. Just let me lay here and die. And I walked. Eventually, after about a half an hour, I said, God, don't let me die like this. I don't want to die like this. And I got up and I walked across the street. And there was a boutique hotel over there. And I went in there and nobody said a word to me. And I laid down in their lobby, or in their little sectioned off little bar/lobby. But there was nobody in there. Nobody came in there that whole night. And I laid on that bench. And I was still in a frame of mind where I couldn't think. And I heard law enforcement come because somebody said, hey, I guess somebody that had been tracking me or whatever the case may be had told them I was there. And whoever this guy was that answered the gate said, no, there's no problem here. And he wouldn't let them in. That was one of my guardian angels during this whole thing that I've been dealing with. And there's several others. I went back to try to find that guy. And when I went back to go try to find this guy, I talked to the lady at the front desk. I said, I'm looking for this guy. He's got kind of long hair. He helped me out a couple of days ago. And she said, oh, we don't have nobody like that works here. He watched out for me. He watched out for me. My teeth, they look like this because along with everything else that has happened, I don't even remember it happening. And that might have been a good thing, but I was jumped. They knocked my 2 front teeth out. These bottom teeth never tightened up again. And now I have to get my whole mouth fixed. And they move. That's why you see them looking like they look. I can't even brush them because they move. And I have to get them taken out. And through this all, I still have to keep my head up. All right? Nobody does this to themselves to have all this stuff happen. And the biggest part is I don't understand the rhyme or reason, because whether I use or not, I still get harassed. And when I'm not using and working, trying to get back on my feet, it's twice the problem. I have more people trying to knock me back off my feet than when I was in the gutter. So I don't understand it. I don't understand if I'm indoors, you will still be worried about what I'm doing in there. And I don't understand if I get clean and sober, why the harassment doubles. Or you start destroying my property. Now, and that's not all that has happened. I've had people see me in a hotel and I'm dressed really nice and walk up to me and ask me, do I have a hotel room? I have to leave. Now, how do you even know to come up to me? You're not asking anybody else in the lobby. You're just asking me. And then escort me out. And that has happened a couple of times. I've watched the security guard come right in and whisper in the security in the hotel's ear. The guy didn't even work there. and he'd come over with 7 or 8 security and escort me out. You know, the thing is, if a person is trying his best to make his life better, why would you still want to bother him? Why would you still want this person to be in the gutter? I've had so many IDs and social security cards taken from me. I can't even get another social security card. I have to really petition hard to get one. My clothes were damaged so bad every single time that this has happened that I had to continually try to get things to keep me presentable. I've gone in stores and been overcharged so many times, it's ridiculous. And they know they're overcharging me. I went to a store to get a phone. The guy tried to charge me over $200 for a free phone. And all I had to do is pay for my first month's rent on the phone and the taxes. It should only came to about $80. And when I brought that up to him, he literally tried to lie to me. And then got mad and told me, I'm going to call the cops on you if you don't leave. Now, this ain't the only time that situation has happened. That's not the only time that situation has happened. Part of the other problem as well is that during this whole escapade, I've had so many things happen that I don't understand why so much attention is being paid to one guy, and whoever has all these resources and all these people to do this to him. Why would you waste this much time on one guy? And these are questions I don't understand. So let me show you this. I didn't mean to ramble as much as I did, but I think it was necessary. And I'm going to show you what happened last night. As you can see, this is the clips to this speaker here. While I was on the bed, couldn't move, somebody came in here once again and destroyed my strap. As you can see, not only did they destroy the strap, they also destroyed the clips. Right. These speakers here, these Bluetooth speakers here, the guts were taken out of this one and put back. Can't use it. I've only had that one for about 10 days. I had this one a week when they did that. Same thing with this one. It just stopped working. I went to go try to play it and it won't even connect. As I said, the young lady was sitting in this chair here, and she turned the chair around so that she could have me basically on live TV. All my drawers were thrashed, as you can see. All of them are like that. Okay, including that one over there. This window, the knob was broken. I think it's over here, but that's where it belongs, right there. As you can see right there. I hope you can see it. So there's a knob that opens the window. Clothes. All these clothes were cut or poured on. This was a brand new shirt and it was white. It won't ever get clean again. These pants were cut, as you can see. Somebody cut my pants so I can't wear them. And this shirt, was cut, as you can see there, and it's got other cut marks on the sleeve. This was a brand new bag that was, they gave us a bunch of things when we first came in here for my laundry. This was totally cut on the bottom where it won't hold anything. This closet, I had brand new clothes that are gone now. I've had underwear and socks and stuff that were here. They're gone now. This door here, somebody had came in here and took the screw out of the door where it was just flapping around. As you can see, this damage here, this was also done. Stoppers. Give you a better view. The bathroom. You see this here? This here, whatever they're giving me, this won't come off. I've tried to clean it and it won't come off. And this is a brand new bathroom. Brand new bathroom. And I've cleaned this before and you wouldn't see anything. Whatever they were giving me had me, whatever was in my body that has me in that messed up state, this won't come off. I don't know if you can see it, but it won't come off. My toilet, they had took the latch out of here and bent it, and I had to have them come and fix that. This here wouldn't stay up. It was done to me, and I think just to make me frustrated, where I wouldn't want to be here. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I've had an incident not too long ago, maybe close to 2 years ago, when I was still in Orange County, where they were going to give me brand new housing once again. I was a prime candidate, probably would have been one of the first people to move in, like here. And all of a sudden, I've had some charges pop up, some arson charges pop up, and never been to jail for it. And the only reason why that didn't stick is because the persons that were handling me, taking care of my expungement for the things I did go to jail for, they're all petty thefts, basically. I felt like the Black Dan Aykroyd. It was just a rough place in my life for me. And all of a sudden they show me, oh, you've been to prison for arson. We can't let you move in. I said, I've never been to prison for arson. And nobody could explain it. During that same time, I was living in Laguna Beach because I just wanted to be somewhere, nice and comfortable. And basically, the church I went to, one of the guys was extremely rich, and he worked in whatever he was doing. He traveled a lot, and he said, "Man, you know what? I have a scooter, man. I'm gonna let you borrow that scooter," and it was in tip-top shape. So he let me borrow the scooter, and they took that. They started trying to damage it like they did my car, same pattern. But they eventually stole it, and that kind of messed me up because this guy trusted me with his things, and there's no way I apologized to him, but there's not I could do about that. But they took the scooter. I just don't see the rhyme or reason behind the what's, the whys, and the who's, and nobody will tell me. I'm a firm believer that if a person has done something and they've paid the price for it, then that's a done deal. I don't know what I've done to I'll say that again. I don't know what I did to whoever I did it, whatever to, for this to be the situation that it is. And for the magnitude that it is, and for some of the things that have been said, I just don't get it. I get it if you say, okay, you know what, we targeted you because you were out there on the streets and you were using. Okay, now where do we go from here? Are you going to continue to do what you're doing to me? Because eventually I have to say, why are you continuing to do this? The other thing is, for what I'm doing in my personal space, I don't understand why it affects anybody, but you can really see the picture of how my life is being painted like I'm a screw up, a total piece of crap, when I'm in a private space that nobody should even be able to see. So what is it that has given you or made you so mad at me that you would break laws just to get me harassed into the dirt? I tried to explain to them that I have, family members that no matter what, they might be mad at me. They might not even know what's going on, which I didn't want to tell anybody. And that's okay. I understand it. Okay, you might be mad at me. But they definitely wouldn't want to see me going through this. And if anything happened on an extreme level, it's just going to prove my point even more. It's just going to prove my point even more. The bottom line is, through all of this that's been going on, you can be mad at me, and I understand. Okay, I get that. You be mad at me, and I can accept that. But it still is no reason why you should be violating me up in here. You shouldn't even be knowing what I'm doing in here. And as long as I'm not raping somebody or killing somebody, molesting anybody, it shouldn't bother anybody. I'm a firm believer that I probably wouldn't even be going through what I'm going through. I wouldn't even be picking up if I wasn't, I get, to the point where I'm so frustrated where I just say, you know what, it doesn't matter. You guys are going to harass me anyway. You're going to do it anyway. And you're going to continue to do it. And you're not telling me why. The biggest thing is when I go out here and I'm going through this, and if I say something to you and I'm walking down the street and you don't know me, and I'm saying it in a way like, why are you doing this to me? And you don't respond, you pretty much let me know that you're a part of it, because I would be asking the question, why are you even asking me that? I have basically the same look from everybody and the same way that my life can be made better if I constantly have people coming in here and breaking things. Like I said, I have this scar on my nose and this cut because somebody, when I was coming out that bathroom, kicked it back into my face. But nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to say anything about that. Now, you just assaulted me in my own apartment. For most people, you broken and entered, that would be serious time. The problem I have with this whole thing is that the people that are participating don't have a badge. They don't have a badge. And a lot of them have committed criminal acts themselves. And now you're participating with the green light to do harm to me. That's not cool. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm a pretty good I'm a pretty good man, and I know I am. And if this wasn't continuing, I wouldn't even be doing the things I'm doing. I wouldn't even be picking up. I was sober many times during this episode, and they worked extremely hard to put me in a frame of mind where I ended up relapsing every time, with months under my belt, every time. So you have to have some kind of rhyme or reason. You have to have some kind of rhyme or reason for somebody in my situation, so I know what to do. So I'll stay out of trouble. If I don't know how do I stay out of trouble? How do I keep myself out of harm's way if I don't know what to go by? You don't have a blueprint for me, because it doesn't matter if I'm on the street or in a place in my own unit like this one, or if I'm staying clean. You still do it. I don't know what to do. And that's the plea. I'm a pretty darn good man. I know I am. Like I said, I'll say it again. And when I have myself together, I don't have a problem. I really don't even care for it, but I just get frustrated. For somebody that only does what I do twice a month in the small amount that I do, I just can't. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't know anymore. And for people to be looking at me like they're really super angry at me just amazes me. I had one friend of mine, you can see this one pulling out. See it pulling down now? You see, now you think I'm tripping? What's that all about? You see it? You guys will see. You guys don't know. Somebody's pulling on my hair or something. But anyway, I find it, I don't know. I just don't know anymore. And I've gotten to the point where I actually believe that this is harming me in a way to where it's slowly but surely killing me. I believe that, and I'm going to speak that on this phone, on this recording, because the people that are doing it don't care, and I never thought that people would just be to the point where they don't even care what they're doing to you. I never thought that at all, you know. And if it was any of their family members, see all my hair moving. There's something energized in here. You can see it here. When I move, it moves. So, um, I just don't. I don't get it, and I'm asking. Please tell me. And for the people that get a chance to see this, I'm not asking for you to completely be okay with it. I just felt it was important for me to say what I had to say so you understand what I'm dealing with and how hard it is. It's almost like they devised a way for me to stay in a state where they can continue to do what they do to me. When you don't have people that want to hear you out, they don't even want to talk to you, even the ones that aren't involved are apprehensive because they don't want anything to happen to them. Last thing I want to say, so you have an understanding of whether or not this is phony or if somebody's tripping. When I was out there on the street and homeless, when I laid down to go to sleep, literally, other homeless people that I had never met before would leave because they know something's going to happen. They know the aftermath is coming. Whatever harassment's getting ready to come, it's not going to stop. And how do so many people know? How would you even know? And then I've caught people in this building describing me as I left. And I stopped them. What are you telling people? That you have to describe me when I leave the building. And harassment will start. I've actually had one person tell me, he walked up to me with a machete and told me, man, you can't sleep over here. And I literally was like, man, you know what? You can't tell me where to sleep. That's not what you can do. But a lot of times I have to just walk away. I've had people call me names and I had to turn around in tears because I don't want the altercation. I don't want to go back to jail. I literally don't want to do that. In my tip-top shape, I had 18-inch arms. Really, really nice shape, you know? And just to give you an idea that I'm basically turning into a shell of what kind of man I really am. And it's making it very difficult. What I didn't show you is there's also after this harassment episode, there was dust everywhere in here, red dust. And I don't understand where this came from because I have nothing this color in here. I don't know if you can see it right there. I have nothing this color in here. And it was everywhere. It was all over my couches, everywhere. It was all over behind the TV, on top of everything in here. And I had to clean it up. And I still have some cleaning to do. And I'll finish that tomorrow. I had people come in here and deliberately steal my money, make it hard for me to pay my rent. And I don't get it. And another place that I was in, like I said, I eventually went to a place in Echo Park, and I was the first person in the unit, and they came in and put bed bugs in my bed, stuff like that. I don't know. This, I said once again, is a plea for understanding. I'm not trying to really make anybody mad, but I can't see myself explaining the truth. And I'm not going to lie. This is the truth. This is what's been going on. And in saying that, I want people to understand that, yes, people make mistakes, but I've never made this mistake so bad that I would generate this much attention, and to the point that you now are doing things that you shouldn't be doing to justify making up or saying what I'm doing. It should never be like that. That's not the way humanity should be. And I've had people walk up to me and tell me, this is the last thing I'm going to say, and I couldn't believe it when she said it. It almost brought me to tears. I was in the valley, and she walked up to me and she said, you might not, and I've never really been to a psychic or anything like that, but she says, I know you're in a lot of pain. She said, I know you're not enjoying the things that you're doing, but I need you to come see me. And I didn't do it because I lost the card. But she walked up to me with concern. And that touched me because I know I'm not the person that people have made me out to be. And that's the only point I wanted to bring across. All the damage that's happened to my body has been because of whatever they decided to do to make people mad at me. And the proof's in the pudding. Because if I'm in my own place, why would you be mad at me? I couldn't even fix my mouth to be mad at somebody for being, quote unquote, high as hell or whatever the case may be, and butt naked laying on his bed holding his pecker in his hand. How can I be mad at him in his own place? That's his place. He can do whatever he wants in there. And how could you stand by and act like I'm doing something to your property, or you're in this building and you can actually see me like that? That takes a lot of nerve. And then harass me when I step out, like I ain't got no business saying anything to you about it. I don't get that, and I never will. So, anyway, that's pretty much the bulk of it, and I didn't want to ramble, but I wanted to get my point across. If for some reason, which will be more proof, that this does not post, it's because they've been monitoring my phone like I said they have. And I'll make an attempt to continue to try to get it posted. Other than that, thank you very much for listening, and have a wonderful night. Thank you.